Well, Chance had asked to talk to our new Head of Sports Science, Chris McConnell. How's settling in going and how much are you enjoying getting into the role here now?
So far it's been really good. All the staff, all the players been really welcoming, really receptive, obviously to what I'm trying to implement, what we're trying to do. So far it hasn't couldn't wish for it to go any better really. So been really good, really positive.
It's the first time you've been fully in charge in the role here. Obviously you've stepped up in other positions, you've been at other clubs as well. When the opportunity came up, was it something that you just felt for many reasons you had to take?
Yeah. Obviously it was a progressive step. Obviously being like my way up from like an intern, obviously at previous clubs into like sort of number 2 at Millwall. Really felt that it was sort of like the next step for my career. It's where sort of I wanted my career to sort of end up, and obviously hopefully progress into sort of like a head role. Sort of have a go at myself, sort of apply my own philosophy, and try and take clubs forwards and develop my own practice, develop me as a practitioner. So,
as you said, you've been at Millwall, but you've also been at Watford and Charlton before that as well. What kind of experiences did you take from that, and how much has it contributed to being here now?
Yeah, so I've done 2 years at Watford as an intern while I was still doing my studies at university, and then once I graduated, I'd done a year at Charlton. 2 like very drastically sort of different philosophies. One was a bit more sort of like European based, a bit more continental based. So sort of took things that I thought that would sort of work well from there in terms of sort of like exercises and potential sort of like pitch based plans, but obviously when I went to Charlton, it's a lot more sort of like traditional English sort of conditioning philosophy and sort of strength-based philosophy, which again took a large sort of portion, which obviously sort of built my philosophy now. So it's really good in terms of having like that balance between sort of 2 different philosophies, like sort of what works well, what can be implemented well with the players, what gives you sort of like the best buy-in. So I took a lot from both from sort of both experiences in terms of what works well with like players, with managers, obviously what we're trying to implement, what we're trying to sort of see with regards to optimising physical performance. So both very valuable, and obviously on the flip side, sort of taking things that sort of maybe not sort of worked or maybe hadn't progressed sort of as much as what we'd hoped. So yeah, both really strong experiences that I've taken a lot from.
You've been here a few weeks so far. What have you been able to start implementing?
So I think like sort of the most important thing is when sort of somebody new comes in is that they don't sort of come in like a ball, like a china shop. So I've not come in here and sort of torn everything up necessarily in terms of the way that I want things to be run. It's more obviously sort of gauging where everybody's at, sort of what the processes are, what the practices that are currently in place are, and just maybe making sort of subtle changes to a few of them. So like one thing sort of that I've sort of probably looked and probably changed the most is sort of what players are doing pre-training with regards to sort of pre-habilitation sessions, just maybe making it a little bit more functional, trying to obviously target their sort of exercises to what they're going to be doing in training, and little things like that, rather than just sort of focusing on just sort of things like general mobility and things like that. That's sort of probably the biggest change that I've made so far. But other than that, it's just sort of little changes sort of here and there in terms of like either like sort of exercise prescription, got them sort of in the gym maybe like a little bit more, but gradually just sort of implement what I think is best for the players, but also keeping sort of that sort of same structure that was sort of left behind as well. So it's not an immediate change where we're potentially sort of going to be sort of picking up a lot of injuries or spikes in load, which obviously leads to a decrease in performance. Just sort of nice and gradual. What's happened with the managers, obviously getting feedback from the players, and obviously what we're trying to implement as well. So.
It's early days. I mean, how responsive have they been, and how self-disciplined do you find them as well at this stage?
Players have been absolutely stupendous. Really, like they've been really receptive to sort of like myself. They've welcomed me in with open arms. Everything that I've been implementing so far, everything I've been doing has been met with like positive feedback and really good application and adherence. The manager's been first class with me as well. It's been a really positive start. I'm obviously sort of helped out a lot by sort of Dougie and Tom as well in terms of just delivering consistent messages in terms of what we're all trying to deliver as sort of like one big holistic department. So they've been first class as well. Everything's been going really well so far. Really positive. Just obviously looking to build on that for sort of in the coming weeks, and obviously going into next season as well.
How important is that link with Dougie, the physiotherapist?
It's massive at the end of the day. Like he's been first class, like the players have, just in terms of like optimising sort of like the handover. He's obviously sort of like giving me a pretty like sort of in-depth sort of account of where all the players are at, previous injuries, how they are as people, what they respond to, what maybe they don't respond to. So like he's been massive in the early stages and moving forward in terms of like sort of training plans and sort of gym prescriptions, and especially sort of like handovers for rehab players. Like that relationship with sort of like your head of medical, your physios, is like can't be understated. So far, like, and I can't see it changing either. Like myself and Dougie, we've been a really good team so far. So I'll make it continue.
Walking into here as well, into this club that we've got, how much did you know about the story, and also how much did you know about the players and staff here beforehand? Did you know
so like, truth be told, like I didn't necessarily know like a lot about the story. Probably like the story of the club. Obviously, probably know what sort of come out, what sort of like the press. Obviously, obviously with the breakup and everything like that. I was lucky enough to obviously work with Paul Robinson at Mill Under 23s. He came in as assistant manager, sort of beginning of the season. So I sort of obviously sought his help out with regards to sort of how the club's run and sort of obviously things that go on there, and he was nothing but positive, gave me some really good sort of advice, some really good feedback with it all in terms of like the club, the story where it's come from. Obviously said about obviously the people who work here as well, and had nothing but good things to say.
Jason Moriarty was previously in the role as well. He was here for a long time. Pretty much started from scratch, really. You impressed with the setup that you found as a base to work on from here?
Oh, massively. He was there for, 11 and a half years?
Yeah.
So like, he must have been doing something right to last that amount of time at the club. He's built some like really good foundations here at the club in terms of like the gym, in terms of the application from the boys. Some like really good sort of like foundational blocks in place where obviously hopefully I can emulate and surpass and push the club on from that perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, going forward, as you say, and how much do you hope to sort of use the scope to sort of expand equipment wise and the role here as well?
Sort of obviously before I come in, the gaffer sort of said that hopefully I'm going to be given the opportunity to sort of like build a department, which obviously in turn will sort of build a club. So like I said, we've sort of got a lot of like the foundations here. They just need either like, for me personally, I think they just need like a little bit of TLC, a little bit of an update. So sort of things like the GPS, like if it's possible, obviously to try and sort of update that a little bit more, so we can be better in terms of like monitoring the players outside. Like I've got a lot of big plans. Obviously, I understand sort of like the budget constraints and sort of where the club's at. Not all of them are going to take place, which obviously I'm ready for. But fundamentally, I think sort of my vision is probably going to be the same vision as what the club's got. Obviously with the new stadium, to take everything forward. So it's just obviously assessing what we've got now and then trying to build on it each sort of season by season to really deliver a practice that everybody's proud of, that obviously hopefully transpires into results on the pitch.
And the key thing, of course, is your role is with the players, looking after players. What's your sort of main sort of thoughts in terms of player welfare, how you go by?
So like with player welfare, you sort of just got to try and take every sort of individual case for what it's worth, and then like there'll probably be sort of similarities between quite a few, and then sort of try and group those together. So sort of what Anthony Wordsworth potentially does is probably going to look drastically different to maybe what like an Anthony Hartigan does, or sort of like a Tommy Wood. So it's just about trying to sort of group those players in terms of what they've done, probably what their schedule's going to look like, what they need from like a physical perspective, what obviously the gaffer wants from them on a week-to-week basis, and then sort of just try and make plans from there. Obviously that comes down to liaising with the coaching staff, liaising with Dougie, and then just sort of trying to just be ahead of sort of like the curveball as such, and just trying to stay in front of everything to make plans, and obviously making sure that those plans are sort of stuck to as much as possible.
Coming right up to date, it's not an easy time of the year with the pitches, they're not easy to work upon, and also of course it's where you've got loan players here. Parent clubs perhaps don't want to do too much work on artificial pitches. How are you finding managing that side of things? Yeah,
like obviously we've got contingencies for when we can't sort of get on the grass. Obviously grass would be gold standard, that's ideal. But we've got sort of plans and processes in place, so we've got a couple of players who sort of struggle to go on sort of the artificial surfaces, which would go on when sort of like the pitches aren't great. If that's the case, depending on sort of like what the day would sort of look like on the grass, if it was a normal training day, they'd probably be doing in the gym, sort of doing something that's sort of similar to the workload of what they'd be sort of be required to do on the pitch. So we obviously had that on Tuesday, I believe. It's not ideal, but some work sometimes is better than no work at all. So parent clubs so far have been absolutely fine with regards to sort of what our plans have been. Obviously, if they've sort of liaised a plan that they want their players to follow, we'll obviously adhere to it as obviously the players aren't ours. But like it all comes with the job, just trying to be adaptable and flexible to any situation.
Give us a bit of a news update. What have you been working on specifically this week?
So this week's sort of been a little bit different. Just in terms, we've sort of had a little bit of like a split squad situation. Obviously, we've got players sort of coming out of Christmas who've played a lot of games. We're obviously sort of a Saturday week at the minute. We're only playing once a week rather than sort of twice a week. So it's given us an opportunity the previous couple of weeks to get sort of like some conditioning into the players as a whole. This week in particular, where we sort of had a split squad, some of the players obviously haven't had a lot of like match minutes, which is obviously key for either obviously for them to maintain that sort of like match fitness, or obviously players who are sort of trying to come back into the fold. So earlier this week, sort of we had sort of the starting 10 on like recovery sort of session, while sort of like the other half of the squad was sort of doing like match prep sessions, obviously for Wednesday. Obviously today on the flip side, sort of we've had players sort of more on like a reintroduction sort of day, where they sort of just sort of get themselves going, whereas we've sort of had a few sort of come in who've sort of off their own backs, has to be said, just to do like an off-feet recovery, just to get them ready for tomorrow. Worked a little bit with sort of like individual players, predominantly on sort of like a rehab sort of setting. So I've obviously worked quite closely with Woody, Kwesi, Adam Roscoe as well. A little bit with Jack Redondi, who's obviously coming back into the fold. They're probably like the 4 players we've worked with most. But also sort of like Rod, he sort of recognised something that he wanted to improve on in the Portsmouth game. So just put together like a little plan with him. So when he's obviously training, so we'll be doing sort of like those sort of individual specific extras for what he feels he needs to improve on. Obviously, if I pick up on anything. For all the players, it has to be said, then obviously like I recommend it to them, recommend it to the management staff, and then obviously try and take them away and obviously try and work on that as well.